Back again from the gums, Daggy and Barney. Back together, actually, as we were just saying. It's been a minute to talk some rugby league after most enjoyable ANZAC weekend. You've been a bit under the weather, my friend.
Yeah, a little bit, but it happens.
It does happen, I can confirm. And no one really cares that much. So.
No, 100%. Good to see you again, mate.
Yeah, it is, actually. Well, thank you. It's nice. Someone...
Bit of a break there in between the footy with the Thursday and the Friday. It's a bit unusual only having the one game on the Friday.
Well, I know we discussed catching up before then, but the weekend tended to get away from us, as they do. So the idea was good.
Yes, it was.
You know, here we are. I still luckily remember most of it. So a very sober ANZAC day for me, which was actually quite nice, to be honest. But
yeah, very good.
Took the kids in the city on the Friday and had a bit of a nice day out there. So it's all been productive, and they're back at school tomorrow.
It's the old man, the legend's birthday on the ANZAC day, so most of mine are generally pretty sober. I might have 1 or 2 beers with the old man, but that's about it. We did
Happy birthday to the great man. How is he?
Spend some time and have lunch with him. Yeah, no, he's flying, actually. He's going real well.
He's got both his legs working. He's jumping about. Actually, I saw him Saturday.
Yeah, right.
At Van's game, kids' game.
Yep.
So he looked in good health, actually. He did.
Yeah, he loves getting out there and watching all the
they don't miss a game. I'll give
him
that.
No,
don't miss a game. When are you registering Harper for league? Next week?
I'm not sure she's real keen on the league. She wants to... Talking about some self-defense, so we might see her in some karate classes shortly, but that's about it.
Very good. Aria wants to play league now.
She still does her gymnastics.
She wants out of dance and into league. So.
Oh, very good.
Cool. And Elijah's going all right. Yeah.
He's killing it from what I've heard.
Yeah, he needs to make some more tackles. Your brother's a fan. He is a fan.
Yeah.
Anyway, we that all went down, and we're going to talk some more of what went down. Pretty enjoyable round. Weird round. Weird for a round where there was some absolute wipeouts, to say that, but I was thoroughly entertained by the wipeouts, actually.
There's some very exciting football played by some of the...
And those, or the 2 Thursday wipeouts, are just very, very good football teams at their best, so easy to watch, if nothing else. So.
Yeah, some of the attack was absolutely cracking at different times.
And so was Cronulla. I think that was a level below slightly what the other 2 produced, but they were very, very good too, which we'll get to. I'll give them that. And you can give Nico 3 when you get there if you like. You're allowed.
I will be.
I'll let it happen this week. Let's talk about some news. Luke Keary announced his retirement today, effective at the end of the year. Obviously, Origin player. I think he played for Australia 1 or 2 tests. I won't spend heaps on it because it's a bit weird to do a whole spiel about him and he's going to play for the rest of the year. But I don't actually, to be honest with you, I haven't heard if it's head related. Obviously, it wouldn't be if he's still playing.
Apparently, he hasn't really elaborated on what the reason is. Yeah, obviously, probably a bit more time with family and all the rest of it. May have been run over the top of one too many times, realistically. For such a small bloke to be so competitive for so long, was it 12, 13 years now? He's been in the top grade. It's a pretty big effort to go out there and be the smallest man on the field every week and get through what he does get through, because they send a lot of traffic his way. Very exciting creative half at his best. A few years ago, led that Roosters team, obviously, to back-to-back.
With Cronk with one arm.
Yeah, got the man of the match in that game. So, a fantastic career for the young fella, and be interesting to see where he goes to in the future, whether he stays in the game or moves on.
I assume there'll be a coaching role somewhere if he wanted.
Some sort of halves coaching role.
Interesting. I believe that means the Roosters have $3 or $4 million to spend. I don't know who they're going to buy.
It's going to be the first time they've really splashed out into the market there for a while. Realistically, they've picked up bits and pieces here and there, but they might even next year or next 2 years they're going to go. There'll be a big play somewhere, I would imagine.
I wouldn't say shocked. I would suspect re-signing Angus Crichton, who hasn't signed for rugby, should be close to top of the list now. The bloke's still 27.
He's been in the last couple of weeks.
We'll get to that very soon, but generally he's the form back row of the comp, and it's not even close in the last month. But I would have thought if he was on 750, I would be looking to get him bunked back down, because they tried very hard back in the last year and this year to fill his role, and no one's come close to what he's produced at his best.
No, and obviously he was a bit off with his comeback last year. Didn't have a lot of minutes, a lot of game time, but his last 3 to 4 weeks, he's absolutely smashed it out of the park every time he's been out there. So, and he's back to that 80 minutes on that left edge. So
absolutely, we're heading there. I suppose before it happens, we should pick some Origin teams who might do that. What do you reckon, 2 weeks or next week?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe come up with our Origin teams for both and see how they stack up. It's a talking point that we'll put out on social media. Leave some feedback below on YouTube. Josh Schuster officially was released. Don't know what that means for him. It means he'll be playing football somewhere else, if at all, in Australia, for much less money, I would suggest. But
decent payout too, apparently, up near the $1 million mark for as a payout figure. So, says a fair bit when a club's willing to shell out $1 million to get you to leave.
You're right. Can you hear me? I assume he'll end up with a contract somewhere for. Do you want me to pause and fiddle? Okay. I'm very good at fiddling. I assume it'll be a contract for much. End of the day, when you're in this position as someone like him, you need to just find a club and earn your stripes again, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And it may have to continue to go through reserve grade, which he's not exactly setting the world on fire there at the moment either. So
that's the thing. He's got a job for sure at 200K, but whether he's willing to take it and work his ass off or whatever, you've seen lots of blokes go and train and trial, and even if they have to. But
well, go try and find a job paying you 200K anywhere else in the world, anywhere else in the workforce in Australia at the moment, and see how easy that's to get hold of.
If anyone wants to pay us 200K, you can reach out to us on socials or at beergardensports@gmail.com and look after us. But anyway, Sonny Taruva signed with the West Tigers. Very nice signing. Perhaps even more needed than we realised, given we saw some wingers in that game on Saturday night, but they do need some striking outside backs. They do need someone who's willing to run 250 metres. Tick for both of them. So for what they've paid for him, very good.
You see how important it's becoming now for your wingers to come in and do that work. Most of the best sides have got someone that's coming in to it, taking 150, 200 metres every game, and takes a lot of pressure off your middle forwards. And then he finishes. If you give him half a chance, he's a pretty bloody good finisher as well. So.
Interesting that he didn't play on Saturday as a result.
Yes.
Some discussion around. Apparently it was to get him in the right headspace, but we've seen at times Ivan's not been the most diplomatic person. So who knows? We'll see. Keep an eye on that. But I was very excited by that signing. And speaking of Ivan, his son Jet signed with the Warriors for, I think, 3 years, through 2027. Go over there and learn his craft, I guess, along the way. So good luck to him.
Big move for a young fella who's still only 17. Be going on 18 next year and move over there on his own.
He's got family there. I think so, because Ivan obviously played for them and coached them at some point.
They lived there for a fair while.
I'm not sure if what family is there, but yeah, that's.
You never know. Mum might follow him over for a year or something and look after him. But interesting one. Apparently he's got plenty of talent, so it'd be good to see how he progresses through the grades there for the Warriors. Obviously, someone they're looking at to take Sean Johnson's spot when he finishes up.
I guess so, yeah. And the other one, nothing confirmed, but it's believed Lewis Dodd's coming to the NRL after all this time to now play for South, it hasn't been announced, but given they gave Ilias permission today to look around, he's obviously coming. Good signing, One St Helens, we saw the most exposure he's got. He was winning St Helens that World Cup Challenge last year.
Yep.
They end the World Cup and all, but obviously a very talented player. He has to make the next step to the NRL, I suppose.
It seems like it. Seems like got a pretty talented kicking game and a running game to go off the back of that. I haven't seen a lot of his ball playing. Obviously, very limited exposure from what we see. I don't follow the English Super League very much at all. But the bits and pieces we've seen out of him looks like he's a quality half. Leaves Ilias in a bit of a weird position now. I'm sure someone will come for him, but his options will be limited, I would imagine, going off his previous form for the last year and a half or so.
I'm trying to think I'd even look at Ilias. Maybe St George, if depends what happens with Ben Hunt. Late years.
Dogs, maybe.
Dogs. Actually, I did say that in the Bulldogs fan group that had been discussed.
Tigers probably might think about it.
Enough there now. Luai coming.
So?
They won't spend
Luai,
They wouldn't spend money now unless Sullivan's been crowbarred somewhere else. And they've still got Dewey. I don't know what Adam Dewey's going to do.
Yeah.
Might end up at Panthers. Might end up at Sharks.
Titans, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Titans.
Boyd's been good the last 2 weeks, but
I thought Titans and Bulldogs best shouts right now. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, any judiciary news? Tane Milne, 2 matches, which is a bit of a disgrace. How that didn't get at least 4 to 6. Well, if he does put Cameron Munster out for the year, what's he get? 10 weeks. So how can you be half pregnant? There was intent. No, he stood there. He lined his knee up, and he more than cannonballed him. He tried to cripple the bloke.
Yeah.
To get only 2 weeks is disgraceful. To get the same as DCE got, effectively for standing next to Halloumi and watching go up and over, they both got 2. Well,
DCE's challenging.
Alcoatu's taken 2. Yeah. DCE's challenging. He's pleaded guilty, but challenging severity. And fair enough. I think
5 seconds to go, and you dive at a bloke's knees. Well, he's well and truly held. The game's over. He's got a habit of losing his mind as well. He's taking blokes' heads off. When he gets frustrated and annoyed, he goes out of his way to try and start hurting people. And it was a horrible look from the weekend. We've said it for years. They're nowhere near strong enough on the cannonball tackle. It's been, we saw a couple of them the back end of last year and the year before.
2 years ago, Hastings. No, started last year. Hastings got taken out by 1. Carrigan got taken out by 1.
Back end of the year before,
The year before, 2 years ago, and I hate it. I hate it. It should be 6 weeks minimum.
It's such a vulnerable position to be put into, and then you know what you're doing. Yeah. Everyone's been told now for 3 years that you can't do it. Yeah. You can't go in below the knees, or you really shouldn't be going much lower than the hips as the third man in to try and secure the legs. And the way he went in was pathetic, and it's just such a dangerous tackle. I don't know why they don't make it basically a 4-week minimum.
I agree. But I agree, and as you know, it's been a pet peeve for a long time. Sivo got fined for his multiple elbow shots. How he escaped at least 2 weeks as well is
another one
baffling.
Yeah.
Did that result in a HIA? I can't remember if it did.
I don't think so, but it's just another moment of absolute stupidity from a bloke who's getting frustrated, getting beaten up, and then you get frustrated and try to take your frustrations out on someone's head with your forearm or slash elbow. Like, it's just.
What did Mitch Barnett get 2 years ago?
8 weeks or something.
Yep.
For the forearm.
So why is this any different? Except for the one vertical, one's horizontal.
Yeah.
He elbowed him in the face and then elbowed him in the face again. I'm not saying unless you got 10 weeks, but I would have thought 4.
Yeah, again, 6. Another one that should have been around the 4 to 6 week mark, I would imagine.
Yeah, he didn't. We'll move on. Saifidi, ankle Achilles sort of, Jacob, an Achilles-ish sort of injury. We haven't seen an update then. Kenny Bromwich, HIA will miss this week. Jesse is going for scans on his ankle. There's some hamstring concerns around Nelson and Coates, who got pulled. Apparently Coates was cautionary. He scored his hat-trick, and they could have put him back on if they really needed him. So I assume he'll be named tomorrow. I think that's about it for injuries. Let me just think if there's anything I've missed recently. No, not really. So anything else catch your eye in the news cycle?
Walsh was hobbling around at the back end of the game, but I don't think anything actually came out of that. Right. There was more cramp, and then he was vomiting.
I don't think for a weird game played in Sydney on a pleasant evening, there was a lot of cramp and vomiting and carrying on that game. So whether it's intensity, whether it was whatever, that was an odd game to watch, and I turned it off, actually, to be honest with you, at some point. So
yeah, right.
Mental health came first in that case. Nothing else. Cool. Let's kick off with the Titans 27, Warriors 24 in a result no one saw coming, I would suggest. You may as well do what you do, Bum.
Yeah, 4 tries to 5, 4 out of 4 conversions for the Warriors, 3 out of 5 for the Titans. 1 out of 1 field goal attempt for the Titans. It was 19-12 at halftime to the Titans. 87% completion, played 92%, 346 plus running metres and 152 plus post-contact metres for the Warriors. 5 line breaks to 7, 35 tackle busts to 43, 7 offloads to 8, 340 tackles made by the Warriors, 367 made by the Titans, 9 errors to 7, 5 penalties to 3 ruck infringements against the Titans. David Fafita with 126 Supercoach points, Fanua Blake with 116, and Sean Johnson with 98.
Yeah, I should have bought Fanua Blake instead of whoever it is I end up with. Where do we start here? Okay. Should we have a discussion straight off the bat? Are the Warriors not quite where they should be?
It's ridiculous. There's got to be an investigation.
Well, they've come off getting towed by the Dragons, got out against Manly, got out against
Sharks in the first round,
and just got beaten by the Wooden Spooners. There's some water to go on the bridge for them to rest it away. Well, they're not with us at the Warriors.
I said, I want an investigation into where half of this fucking side disappeared to because they were gone for a big part of this game. And their attacking plan fucking went out the window as well. Like they dead set scored 2 tries and then just went, we're just going to hit up 5 hit-ups for the rest of this fucking game.
That's what it was. In the second half when they were chasing the game, I was sitting there calling the play. Like, I was sitting there in Aspen.
I'm pretty sure I did the same thing.
And I'm sitting going, okay, Barnett's going to run it left upright. Then you go back for Fanua Blake at the right. Then you go back left. Now Tohu's on the 4th Tohu runs where he half gets through every time on the right. And on the last, he'll either kick to DWZ, which I did most of the time, or they'll spin back to the left and Roger will be tackled in a corner trying to do something.
Yep.
And every set without fail, you could just go, here it is. Now watch this one. Tohu's going to run. Oh, there it is. Without fail for 40 minutes. I could not believe, there was no shots fired. There was no change of play. There was no double down. Let's have Chance swing out to. There was nothing. Like, it was. I was baffled. It was almost like after 12 minutes,
interconnection whatsoever. It was just one out bullshit for 40, 50 minutes. So, as you said, it was 12-0 after 8 minutes. Like 8 minutes into this game, and it just looked like it was going to be a complete and utter walk in the park for the Warriors. Like, it didn't look like the Titans were going to stop them at any point. And then next half an hour, 40 minutes was 5 hit-ups for a kick. Barely sent the ball to an edge. If they did, it was a kick to Dallin, as you said, or a couple of passes out to Roger to try and sort of spin and push people off. They just, the Titans' biggest problem is their defensive edges. That's where they strip them early. That's where the issue was for them for a big part of it's been their problem for years. And then they stop going there. And they just start trying to roll through the middle, which is, fair enough. You can do that for 3-4 tackles even if you want. You've got to have one shot at them instead of 6.
Yeah.
It's not just pack it up and we'll just roll through the middle. It was like they wanted to win 12-0 after. Yeah. We'll play the rest of the game out and win 12-0. And it just absolutely didn't happen. The Titans then started to get on a bit of a roll. I think they got a bit of confidence out of the fact that they knew they weren't going to have to defend too hard. They could just sit on their line and they were still making decent meters through the middle, but they weren't threatening the defence.
No, that last 20, and kudos to them in that last 20, the defence was good. It wasn't like it was bad.
They did
They
get
played their part, but as I said, if you and I can sit there and call a play in advance, it can't be that hard for them to
Blokes
do it.
have been playing footy their entire life.
Play a few.
Exactly.
There was just no shots fired. There was no,
Yeah. And then the Titans really doubled down on going to Johnson.
Yeah.
They went to Johnson, they went to Rocco Berry, and they just kept coming at him. Whether it was through Fafita or was it through Tanner Boyd with some really nice kicking and some selective passing. He really put some pressure on the Warriors' defence, and haven't seen it that often, but they're starting to become very susceptible to continued pressure in one part of the field, and the defence starts falling apart.
Well, it's only 18 months ago they were the worst defensive team in the comp, and it was either, and you used to sit and call it, either the middle collapse, or Rocco Barry or Adam Pompey, or whoever it might have been at the time, would stand and watch blokes wander past them, and it's starting to just creep back in, and it's a shame because I think no one would begrudge them finishing very, very close, but
Brian Kelly had a couple of lovely touches where he drew in Berry and the winger at the same time, and then released Khan Pereira down the edge, which became a big attacking weapon for the Titans there. As I mentioned, I thought Boyd was fantastic in this game with his running, some switching of the passing and direction of play, and some really nice kicks. But David Fafita was the key. He was rampaging, especially in that second half, just pushing blokes around and running over the top of them. A couple of nice offloads as well, which continued to play on. But, AJ as well, bouncing around
AJ's
like a
fantastic.
pinball in the middle of the field.
I don't think he's just stronger than you realise.
Obviously.
And now with Ponga injured, a year ago he's the Origin fullback. Mm-hmm. I think he's next cab off the rank if something happens to Walsh. Whether people realise it, am I missing someone really obvious? Unless you go Val or someone, but
yeah, no, I don't think so.
back. He should just be playing. I think if you watch even last week and more so this week,
probably would have been Hammer before his injury.
I absolutely agree with that. But you've got to now, if you're Desi, you've got to just back him now. So mate, go back to 1, and then we'll work out with Jaden. Whether it's 14, whether you nurse 4, and like I said, and get 60 minutes out of him and rotate the rest.
Yeah, but the way he's able to push out of, like, front rowers trying to grab hold of him and just push him off, get on the... his acceleration's fantastic if he gets half a step in front of where he needs to be. Good luck stopping him because he just takes off over those 3 or 4 steps and you just can't get hold of him. You mentioned the last 15, 20 minutes, the Warriors really did put the attack back to the Titans, and they had a fair chunk of ball and opportunities down there for the Titans to break the Titans open. I thought there was a pretty rough call on the Egan knock-on.
There's 2 that broke me this week, and that was one, not just because it cost me $3,500. I actually don't think if you're really going to frame by frame, I don't think he ever lost control, Egan. It bobbled, but he still had his fingers on it.
Yeah, he's scooping it with one hand into the other. And
to be honest, if we're looking at that as a bunker, you're wasting everyone's time. Like, why do anything? What the bunker should be doing is spending 30 seconds at most. You go, right, Roger caught it. If they'd said there was a bobble in that whatever, I'd probably live with it. But they said that wasn't the issue. They went back. And you always know when it's longer than 30 seconds. Yeah, here we go. And to go back and look at that, like, fuck off. Why bother doing anything?
Like, it was only one pass to the kick, which, it's all in that same attacking play. So
I know, but it didn't cost... It wasn't a knock-on.
It didn't look like it.
And any other one, I'll get to it, is Appy's one. What a
and you get
joke.
one frame out of 25, so that's 1/25th of a second where the ball's not in contact.
I think the bunker, unless it's referred, literally should get 30 seconds, and if you can't find a stupid issue, if you can't find an immediate obstruction or immediate knock-on in the grounding, that's it. You shouldn't be allowed to check anything else.
And the super slow-mo just makes everything look so bad. Play it at half speed if you want to slow it down, but it's super slow-mo is just way too far, to be going. But they have to do it because there'll be someone in the paper with a still frame going, oh, they fucking got this wrong, and then it all turns into the garbage.
If that was Mitch Kenny, would they have even looked at it?
Probably not.
Or Harry Grant? I reckon they don't even fucking look at it, and that's what annoys me. And because no one would have been in the paper, because no one would have even known about it. Look, it's to get rid. You got to remember, bring it back to get. It's same as DRS and cricket. It's to get rid of the blunders. It's not to get rid of bullshit like that.
Yeah. Minute infractions.
When you go looking for reasons not to give tries, you're on the wrong track.
It's a good kick, good jump from Roger. Probably deserved a try, and that could have been a difference in the game. But
it would have been a turning point.
They didn't deserve to win. Realistically, the Warriors. Fanua Blake fought really hard. Obviously, was their best on the field by a long way. Scored himself 2 tries, and then he gets up and goes, "What's the rest of you blokes doing?" It's not that hard. Just run hard at him and fucking score tries. But it looked like the Warriors were going to snatch it at the back end, but the Titans probably defended better than I've seen them defend for a long time in that scramble for that last 20 minutes. So, Dallin did heaps of work. He made 200 metres again. Did a lot of work, but no special, no highlight reels for him this week. Sadly. Egan again did a whole heap of work. I think he was up near 50 tackles. Just something that he does.
And you mentioned Dylan. He was very, very good off the bench. He played big minutes, and I thought he had a bit of impact there at points, getting him straight. Dylan Walker, talking about.
Yeah, he's massive. I was about to get to him, to be honest. He was one that I did have. I thought Roger Tuivasa, Sheck and Chance were very good, provided the time they had out there. Sean Johnson and Walker were their best attacking options by a mile. He adds heaps, Walker, coming onto the field, just to change of angle. He's got a good short pass in him, so they can't sort of rush out and try to, put 2 and 3 blokes on him to just slow him down. But he's developed into a pretty tough back rower, sort of middleman option as well.
He went over there and got huge last year, and now he hits people too.
Yeah.
Puts people on their ass.
Yeah, he's an aggressive little bugger. Tohu Harris again, forward, were fantastic. But I mentioned Fanua Blake, I thought was brilliant, and he was their best. Fermor, Randall, and Jolliffe were all very good in the middle of the field.
I thought Fermor was great. 44 tackles. 44 tackles? Yeah, 44 tackles, and then I think he led the run meters too. No, he did not. Jolliffe did. Yeah,
Jolliffe did plenty of work in the middle of the field. AJ, we mentioned, was fantastic, and Boyd, but David Fafita was the difference in this. He was the difference in this game. Him and Fanua Blake. They gave both their teams chances to win.
I just feel like since Fafita's come back, it's almost like it's like, okay, now we have a point of attack. Everything else can fall in line. I think they've just missed him massively for that first month.
Huge.
And their attack looks so much better now. And AG, obviously.
And now, like 2 years on from when everyone was calling for him to, stop being lazy and have a go, he's doing plenty of work as well. And his defence is, I think, probably a little bit underrated. Like, if he gets hold of blokes, he hurts them, and they generally don't come looking for him again.
Absolutely.
So.
What do you? I'll just get. So where to for Titans? I guess there's upside-ish. I think the bigger takeaway is I have, as I said, to open this discussion, that I have more grave concerns about the Warriors. I think everyone's sort of overplaying them, and maybe it's time to look at who's going to beat them more than who they can beat.
Yeah, absolutely. They're now showing that middle option is their plan A, and they don't really seem to have a plan B.
No.
Whether they start going back through their back rowers a little bit more, or trying to get their centres a bit more involved with doing some different types of attacking plays. But at the moment, if they're not getting right on the front foot through the middle of the field, they lose their time and space for their halves to operate.
But even when they were on the front foot for the last 20 minutes and still only came out with one try.
True.
It's the year of the early spread. I think you've got to...
Metcalf's hurt him a lot. He was adding a heap on that left-hand edge. He was connecting really well with Tuivasa-Sheck and with Jackson Ford out there, and providing heaps of different stuff for those guys. But
and the Titans are just, I guess, looming a little bit dangerous in that they've got some strike now.
Yeah, well, they've got both edge back rowers can score a try at any time. Quite good defensive there, which is starting to help their halves a little bit in those defensive passages. Still got issues when you get that one pair wider on the outside of the halves and the centres, but that's something that they're going to have to deal with for the rest of the year. Their forwards, when they're good, they can match most teams, but they do have a habit of really having 4 or 5 of them really sort of disappear. So.
Yeah. I think Foreign, the other thing is Foreign limped his way into the season as well. Now he's up and going.
Yep.
And they can all... So they've got their key men back. I think they could win more games, no doubt at all.
I still wouldn't be backing them to win more than 1 out of every 4 games.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying go and load up on the top 8 or anything. Just saying they're not... There's some hope at least you get some wins out of the year, but...
Yeah, I think they'll be a lot more competitive now for the next... up until probably Origin time, and then you'll see where they're at then. But.
3 for Feeder, 2 Brimson, 1 for Noah Blake?
Yeah, I can do that. I had Fanua Blake and Brimson around the other way, but with a winning side, we'll go with AJ. Yeah.
Okay. And then we got to a couple of slaughters, and I enjoyed this in an odd way, apart from... So, yeah, just for this round, everyone, just so you know, I had 4 out of 5 same-game multis, 4 try scorers all get 3 out of 4, and I was a bit of a sad man by the end of the weekend. So when I whinge, you can know why. In that last game, it was RTS. In this game, it was... who didn't score? Tyrell Sloan, who took no part. So, anyway, serves me right for having more faith in the Dragons. 60-18 was the score, though, and you can tell some real stats.
You had a couple of them that were close to a grand payout as well, didn't you?
This was 3. The first one's 3.5. This was 2.5. And I watched, even just doing the highlights again today, if that first chip and chase of the game bounces into Tyrell's hands, it was sweet. But
I had another $1,000 one on the Manly again, and it was cooler this time, not Garrick.
And then I was just checking out, and then so it was the RTS, then it was this, then it was Taylor May.
Yeah.
I did everything else right.
He barely took any part in that game.
He took no part, to the point where my kids were cheering him on at the end of the game. He still did fuck off. And you find the tricky ones. You find Harry Grant. You find
Tom Hazelton.
Tom Hazelton. You find and then Mulatalo. Because the last game, Mulatalo took no part. He didn't play bad at all. Mulatalo. He just never. They never went that way.
He had 1 or 2 that they almost got out of.
So I'll get that off my chest now. We'll move on. Different if you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 tries to 10. 3 out of 3 conversions for the Dragons. 10 out of 10 for the Roosters. 30-6 at halftime, Roosters way, 88% completion played, 89%, 537 plus running metres and 171 post-contact metres for the Roosters. In the positive, 4 line breaks to 9, 22 tackle busts played 50, 8 offloads to 14, 1 forced dropout to 4, 303 tackles played 320, 6 errors to 8, 2 ruck infringements against the Roosters, 2 inside the 10s against the Roosters. Walker with 172 Supercoach points, Crichton with 119, Egan Butcher with 107, and Jaden Sewer with 102.
Where do you want to start here? The Dragons, the Roosters?
Well, I said I wasn't going to tip the Dragons until they won 2 in a row. They win 2 in a row and I tip them. I should have known better. No. They've won 2 in a row. So. They're probably not going to win a third. They were going all right in the middle for the first 10 minutes. that was about it in this game.
One of the tries of the year for Seward to start the game was very good, but that was it.
Yeah, and it's been a similar pattern for them recently. They seem to start really well and then fall into a hole, but they've managed to get themselves out of it a couple of times in recent times. But it was a game. It was very similar to the Sharks game where the Roosters just kept upping the tempo, upping the pressure, upping the tempo, and the Dragons just after 15 minutes could not go with them. They couldn't even get close to them. Half of them looked disinterested after half an hour when they started when they put on 5 tries in about the space of 20 minutes, and they just absolutely blew the game apart. But they just went to water. I don't know what.
There's not much you can say, is there? Because it was just the Roosters just had their way with them.
Yeah, there was 2 or 3 guys that really had a crack, and it's those same guys. It's DeBellin, it's Sewer, but in
this game it wasn't Lomax. It wasn't Sloan who, as I said, took no part.
Yep.
Wandered, and because I needed him for that last one, I was watching him quite closely the last half hour, and he would actually wander to one side of the field, and once the ball started spreading, he'd wander back to the other side.
Yeah.
He might have a couple of, and he'd chime in and do something, but there was no. And I don't knock the young kid, but if you're going to be a top-level fullback, you need to take part. You need to be the one that sparks, and him and Lomax didn't. Lomax took a fantastic bomb at one point, but then they chopped him down. But that was it. And then, as you said, the only 2 that rolled their sleeves up, and Eisenhuth did his usual Eisenhuthing. I couldn't even talk about more than Sewer and.
Well, Flanagan came across and tried to make a cover tackle and slipped off the legs, and Dom Young got a second crack at it and jumped up and scored, and that just started the rot. As soon as that happened, the energy went through the roof for the Roosters. As you're mentioning, Sloan was panicking under the high ball. They were bombing him and he was freaking out, and the defence weren't getting around him either to provide blocking options that you see with other teams.
And noticeably so. And a couple of these wipeouts this weekend, it's sort of everything else off the ball was noticeable. Here, when we get the next game, and obviously the Canberra game, there was everything else wasn't like they just took no part. Slow line speed, so. And
the Roosters were pouring through. They had 4 and 5 chases under just about every high ball that went up.
Yeah.
They played so direct. It's just the way the Roosters look so good when they start pouring through the middle with their forwards. Their back row is either angle in or angle out, and they're either angling back towards the post or angling out towards their centres.
Well,
and then you've got blokes turning in underneath them, or they're running hard lines on the outside of them.
Well, this was the game where it was like Egan for 60 minutes played real direct and bust him a couple times, and they kept Crichton wider, and he caused the damage out there.
Yep.
And in the back end, he pulled that flick pass out his arse and that sort of thing. But I think they've found the right combination now. I think everything else is looking pretty good. If you're a Terrell May Supercoach owner or whatever, you might be a bit upset, but I think they're on a pretty good.
They're getting a lot of minutes.
Pretty good combination now.
Yeah, but the back rowers are running really good lines. And they've both got a good step in them as well. Like Butcher had a fantastic game on the right-hand side as well. They've got a good step in them where they can straighten the attack and then take players with them. Both guys have an offload and a short pass in them. So I'm pretty sure that's the combination for them. Butcher on one side, Crichton on the other. Cheese got up and going in around the middle of the field. Keary was playing really direct as well. Again, took a couple of shots going into the line and taking players with him.
You know who's helped with that? Connor Watson.
He's brilliant.
He's been great. He's had 2 weeks in a row, and if they're going to name it lock, keep going.
And he plays a bit of 9, he plays a bit of 13, he plays a bit of half.
Yeah, so when Cheese went off, he went into 9 and was great, and then that brought the other Butcher boy on, or brought White, played a bit of time in the middle.
Yep.
It was, And after a shit run for the last 3 years, I hope he does keep going because he has changed a lot of the way this team plays.
Another one of those guys that just he's elusive. He's hard to get hold of. He's got pretty decent acceleration over that first 10 or 15 metres. So if you can get on your outside, he's probably going to get away from you if you're not moving real quick. Pretty smart footballer too. Seems to pick the right option a lot of times, where other guys would sort of go the wrong way. He seems to pick more often than not the right way to go.
When he had to kick, and we'll get to S. Walker soon, his kicks were good too. He nailed a couple right on the try line and was able to, again, pin Sloan. So he's someone that Ollie obviously loves and we've talked about over the years, but I hope he really gets a good crack now.
And Walker was the whole reason this team was going so direct.
I can't remember a better complete kicking performance. I know we would have talked about it. I know DC or Moses or Cleary would have produced one, but this was his...
His short kicking game was
incredible. He never missed. And when it had to be, his long kicking game was still good.
Yep.
Again, his bombs were great.
Which they've been missing. The kicking game has been one of the weaknesses.
And what I liked, there was a point there in the second half where he was pushing Kiri out of the way, say, I'm going to kick this. And obviously Kiri, I don't know if it's something to do with what happened today or whether it's just the thing. It's like, this is now Sam Walker running the show.
Just let this kid
whether it's just confidence and whether he's a flat track bully, I don't know.
But what makes it look even better is these guys go with him.
Yeah.
Like it's generally a back rower and a centre on either side of him, and they're pushing into the line with him, and then that short kick turns into a tremendous kick because there's two blokes within reaching distance when it pulls up in the goal line. So
I wonder how much Guzzi Crichton's had to do, because remember 2 years ago that combination was fantastic, and whether getting his bodyguard back or getting his running mate back, I wonder how much that's helped. I like Kiri. Actually, now I think that Kiri was more on that side, but anyway. I wonder if that's helped a little bit, or just having maybe it's just confidence. Maybe
but he was playing on both sides of the field, and he was getting into the line before kicking as well. If you kick too early, it makes it a hell of a lot easier for teams to turn and chase back and put up blockers and whatever to help the fullback out. But as you said, I don't think he got a kick wrong all night. Like how many forced dropouts? I think he would have forced them all, but. Yeah, 4 of them for the Roosters, and the tries that came off the back of them as well. There's a nice little chip kick over the top that ended up in points, I'm pretty sure, as well. Like it was just in everything. And in his part, he was lining people up, lining those back rowers up. Butcher, Crichton having a field day off some of his short passes at the line.
And he kicked 10 out of 10.
Yes.
So from out wide, well, most from out wide. Great return for Dom Young.
Absolutely
was part of what they've missed, but just started so many sets so well. At least 2 or 3 occasions, he was making 30 metres, 40 metres, bringing that back.
Really fast back rower.
He's a really fast back rower.
Jump really high.
And unusual suspects, Teddy, Manu, and Swally was fine. Suddenly, how he's an origin winger, I'm not quite sure, but he certainly didn't let anyone down. It was fine. No, he was good, better than fine. He was good. But I think Young's going to be a fantastic asset as we get deeper in this year. I think, especially not being an origin player, being fresh and that sort of thing.
Yep.
You throw Tupou back in. It doesn't upset too much, given it looks like Jennings now injured, so on and so forth. If they keep this direct play, I think they're back to
anyway,
I think we're heading back towards scary times.
And the Dragons tried to lift the intensity for about 10 minutes in that second half again. And it lasted about 10 minutes. They managed to put a try on there. I think Jack DeVellin barged over for a try, and they looked a little bit better for about 10 minutes in that second half, but it just went straight back to the default of on the back foot, defensive line getting trampled all over, and guys were missing. There were some horrible one-on-one misses as well.
Yeah, average. What can we say? It was
Sam Walker, man of the match.
A sublime effort from the Roosters, and
absolutely.
Dragons didn't turn up. I'm going to say 3 Walker, 2 Crichton, 1 Watson.
That's what I had.
Yeah, that'll do. I was going to say or Butcher or Manu, but Joey didn't do a lot but finish off. So
Jaden Sewer, notable mention obviously for the Dragons.
Honorary mention for him, but Watson 1 is what will go for GT. Saturday evening kicked off 32-18. Seagulls over Parramatta in an odd-ish game. No, if it's that odd, really. Parramatta just went to shit. But
Storm Souths first.
Oh, we didn't talk Storm South too. That was Friday night as well. Sorry. Yeah. Let's talk about that. It was more fun. 54-20 Storm, which would have been 60 if Manny could kick. So another 10 tries here, but very, very enjoyable viewing from some very, very good footballers, Barn.
Yeah, you're not wrong. 10 tries to 4, 7 out of 10 conversions, played 2 out of 4 for Souths. A missed 2-point field goal attempt for the Storm, 32-4 at half-time. 85% completion, played 84%. 167 plus running metres for the Storm, 9 line breaks to 5. 17 offloads to 13, 1 forced dropout to 2. 269 tackles made by the Storm, 303 by South Sydney. 11 errors for the Storm, 8 for South Sydney. 4 penalties conceded to 7. 4 ruck infringements to 1. 1 inside the 10 to 2. And a sin bin against the South Sydney team. Munster with 148 Supercoach points. Grant Hughes both on 95. And Gagai with 88.
For the record, it was Katoa that cost me my multi in this game. I did get Grant, Munster and Coates. And if a couple other bounces or breaks, he played a good game.
He did.
Katoa, but that's a different story. Very, very good. It was the Cam Munster show, though, wasn't it, David?
Yeah, well, Souths actually started pretty well,
yep.
Pretty strongly, plenty of energy and physicality to begin the game. The Storm just kept up with them, realistically, and just sort of played along at that level until they kicked it up and went into another level. But lovely pinpoint kick for the first try off Hughes with the little chip over the top for Pappenhausen. He got a bit of a lucky bounce to climb back over the top of the winger there, and he got a grab on it. But yeah, they scored the first try, and then there was an error and an inside the 10, which gets the Storm straight back down there again. You can't be doing that kind of stuff against the better teams. And then Munster does almost the exact same thing on the other side of the field, puts in a lovely little chip kick across, and not a lot of room to move there for Coates to score his first try out of his hat trick in that corner. Some of the kicking out of these two halves to start the game was just pinpoint precision.
And I think both those first 2 kicks from Munster were on like the first or second tackle. One was off a scrum. One was off a set restart. One was off a scrum.
Yes,
I think. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Then they scored a couple of tries, but they completely lost their way for about 10 minutes to Storm. Just error after penalty after penalty, and then given Souths heaps of opportunity to come down and put some pressure on the Storm, and they controlled it pretty well actually, and did put a bit of pressure on there, and then Walker managed to get out on that edge and actually had a lovely pass out to the edge there for Gagai to score. I think he got a double, I'm pretty sure, and scored that first one. Then Munster just went on an absolute tear. The next 10 or 15 minutes was just Cameron Munster taking the piss. It was running past blokes, putting in little kicks, running around from side to side, and then throwing beautiful cutout balls to different people. He just absolutely took the piss for 15 minutes. And the scoreline just streaked away from South Sydney.
You know what's only a month away? State of Origin.
Yes.
Because Harry Grant had his best game, as we talked about last week, had his best game all year as well, because he, and it helps when you're playing reserve grade, but they were both imperial. Hughes' kicking game was very, very good as well. Apart from what Munster did, attacking wise, Hughes was great. Involved in another couple, but back to Munster, he's just always strong. He's always upright. He breaks tackles, but then he's got that footwork. He's got the ability to chip kick off the wrong foot and float one to the perfect spot. He throws passes.
He wasn't sort of running back on himself like you see a lot of times. He'll sort of run backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards.
This is the best, and you would have used this quote last year, but they have the best spine at their best with each other.
Oh, 100%.
But this is the best that spine's looked.
That combination.
In a long time. And Pappy, I think Pappy's come out and said that he's finally back at 100% speed in the last 3 weeks, or confident enough to be there. And he looked fantastic too.
Harry Grant's service is either really quick and flat and gets it straight out to the halves, and they've got heaps of time to do whatever they want, or he goes out on a little run for himself and then draws in defence and brings guys with him, and then it always seems to get back out to those halves again, whether it's Hughes or Munster. And they absolutely dominated this game with some beautiful kicking and passing. Yeah, you mentioned Pappenhausen stole one just before half-time, shooting down a short side, which never should have been. You shouldn't be scoring tries like that in first grade. There was 2 blokes there, and he just buried his way in there and scored. Right, was it just on half-time or just after half-time?
Just on, I think.
Yeah, and then...
no, just after. First set.
And then again, the Storm went into a little bit of a lull there for a sort of 10-minute period where they were just sort of going through the motions, and Souths really poured on some pressure. And
I thought Cam Murray was very good during that period.
Awesome.
Shocking.
Yeah. Cook had a couple of nice touches. Walker was getting a lot more involved. Gray was doing some really nice stuff, just combining. He's not scared of contact, is he? For a little bloke, he's quite happy to just tear into whoever's standing in front of him.
If you're going to be a little bloke, he would have had to have been like that his whole life, because you don't get picked if you are. So
yeah, no, 100%. And yeah, they put on a good 15 minutes to get back into striking distance. But then again, there was a couple of mistakes, and they turned the ball back over to the Storm, and then the Storm just went back to their spine and just continued to dismantle the South Sydney defence. Didn't matter what part of the field they were in; they were picking holes all over the place. And Souths, if they're not, they need to be playing 80 minutes at the moment to be competitive against other teams. Yeah. And when they're clocking off for 20-minute periods against one of the best attacking, or probably the best attacking team in the comp at the moment, there's going to be dramas.
Well, they haven't been, but they now are. I think now it's like, I think this is, we've got Origin to come, but this is the switch. And I think, to be honest with you, if you put a gun to me and said who's going to win the comp, I'd say Melbourne right now.
Yep.
Because their spine looks fantastic. Their forwards do the job that needs to be done. Katoa, as I said, some very nice line breaks. Busted a few times. Unlucky not to have a grubber bouncing his arm at the death there off Hughes. Was there and thereabouts. And I think Sean Blaw's still growing into...
Liera's doing a shit ton of work. They could not stop Blaw's offloads. No. I don't know how many he threw, but it just seemed like every second time he touched the ball, he was getting an offload away. And most of them were pretty good. 1 or 2 hit the ground, but... that happens. I thought Gray and Gay Guy had decent games. Cody had some really good patches, but again, patchy. And as you mentioned, Murray was their best player by a fair way. He was great again. Just feel sorry for him. He doesn't get to show his skill as much as he should. You know how good his passing game can be and the way he can run lines and put some footwork on blokes, but he's just being used as... He uses all his energy in defence, realistically. Yeah. Like, he has to make 3 blokes tackles because the blokes on either side of him aren't doing their job properly.
If you're seeing I assume we're probably both going to pick him for New South Wales. Would you start him on an edge, or you just play him for the bench?
I think he's got to play in the middle, really. And
you can't not pick Yo.
I think it's starting to become a point of Murray.
Does he get
probably
there?
Better off not there. Realistically,
I can't say he fits if you've got McGuinness, which sounds like magic.
Strike hard running back rowers.
And you've got, I'm sorry, you pick Crichton.
Yeah, and you're probably looking at Ola Kawatu at the moment as well, on the other edge. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You could put him in if Jake's on the bench.
Put Nat Butcher on the bench, who can play middle and edge.
Murray can be another Jake on the bench.
Yeah, he could be. And it sounds it's very harsh to talk like that, but I'm not sure that we need someone who's going to just mop up tackles in the middle of the field. No. We probably need to start putting more aggressive points up against this Queensland team, because that's been our problem. It's actually interesting.
We'll see.
We're not scoring enough points.
Because even the props are in discussion, because I don't know if you could justify Paulo.
No.
I don't know if it's not RCG, so he left with Stefano and unless you pick Jake at prop.
Yeah, Jake will probably be a prop.
Oh, Payne Haas.
Yeah, Payne Haas.
Is there someone obvious I'm missing? I don't think so.
Nope.
Mitch Barnett. Interesting, anyway. We'll save that.
Moving on to the Storm. Meaney and Blaw were very good. Liera had a fantastic game. Grant, Katoa were right up there. They were causing problems for the defence all night. Pappenhausen was fantastic, and that whole spine was brilliant. It was the spine was the difference. Munster 3 points, Hughes 2, and then I had Pappy for 1, but Katoa probably deserves a mention.
I went Munster, Pappy, Harry/Hughes. So let's give Harry the 1, and that's very unlucky for Hughes.
Okay, leave Hughes out. Yeah.
Oh,
Pappy.
don't say it that way.
Pappy too.
Now, how do we miss this? How do we miss Alec McDonald's chin? He has surpassed. He has the finest chin in the game. I don't know. I didn't notice this until a couple of weeks ago, but it needs to be said that is a mighty chin.
It looks like someone's strapped half a brick to
the
bottom of
old Chesty Bonds. He is Chesty Bonds McDonald from now on.
Chesty Bonds.
Jeez, that is a chin and a half.
You're not wrong.
Anyway, they're very good. The Storm. They'll win the comp. Actually, to be honest with you.
Looking likely.
Now let's talk about two teams that won't win the comp. Yes, this is Manly and Para. 32-18, and what was it? 18-0 after 18-0 half time? No, 18-6
14-6 at half time.
No, Para fan? Sorry about that. Anyway, do your stats.
We had 5 tries to Manly, 4 tries to the Eels. 5 out of 5 conversions, played 0 out of 4 for Parramatta. 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for both teams. 14-6 at half time to, what was it, Parramatta? 78% completion, played 72%. 123 plus running metres for the Manly side. 9 line breaks to 6, 30 tackle busts to 39, 9 offloads to 16 from Parramatta. And they did look their best when they were throwing a few of those offloads around.
You don't say.
1 forced dropout to the Parramatta side, 270 tackles, played 332. 9 errors to 8, 6 penalties conceded to 10, 2 ruck infringements to 4. 1 sin bin for the Manly side, 2 for Parramatta. And yeah, they really fucked up the end of their game, to be honest. But Garrick with 145 Supercoach points, Gutherson with 95, and Sivo with 83.
So the two buzz phrases the weekend were get your gloves up. Was it get your gloves up, keep your hands up? I heard that in 4 different games. Put your hands up and stay in the contest. And get in the cycle. Didn't Michael Ennis love that? Once Manly got in the cycle, they were too good. And once they got in the cycle, they were too good. It's essentially what happened. There was a lot of fuckery in that first half.
Their attack was dog shit.
It was shit. But then once they just said, you know, we're just going to take hit-ups and then make them take hit-ups at us. And shock me, we're better than them.
Just another confirmation that Para are not fit enough to play 80 minutes.
Para, I realised today, and I had my epiphany last week, the Para are what I was worried the Dolphins were going to be this year.
Yeah, okay.
They're now too old, too slow, and they actually need some. They got Hopgood. I know, who works his ass off. He's now a little bit betwixt in between trying to be a playmaking lock and not being. I think he almost is
better as that wrecking ball.
Better as a wrecking ball.
With the
they need to find some mobile forwards. They actually need to find a Reuben Cotter or someone with a bit of legs, or a Cam McGuinness or a Troy, or someone that's going to just a point of difference because they don't have it. They're just 4 big logs and Hopgood.
Correct. Yeah.
And the bench is 4 more big logs.
Lazy Lane.
And Lane, who was that guy, but now he's gone back to...
He seems to be getting further and further out every game.
Yeah.
He's defending at centre. He's defending a wing. He'll be standing on the side of the field shortly.
Yeah.
But, they just don't have the legs underneath him at the moment. Shocking first 10 minutes for Manly, like just error, 3 dangerous tackles, which saw Olakau'atu go to the bin, and then 2 others just kept lifting people's legs and dumping them on the back of their head. I'm not sure what was going on there, but they did scramble hard and didn't concede any points in that 10 minutes when Olakau'atu was off the field, which probably is probably a
check.
It's a tick to Manly, but it's probably a cross against Parramatta because they did have them stretched a couple of times and really should have probably put points on.
Well, what they went back to this game, Para, was the Guthos touching the ball 3 times a set, trying to create, and it worked.
Yep.
Sivo scored 3 tries, but when they play that way, it becomes more frantic.
Yes.
And I felt like it's like they thought they had to score 3 tries in that 10 minutes, and there was no base built to get there.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. They got that first try with some nice second phase play and a bit of ad-lib stuff with the ball popped over the top there from Gutherson to Sivo, who, as you mentioned, scored a couple down that left-hand edge. And then they did the opposite. They gave away a couple of penalties and a ruck infringement. That got Manly in position down the other end of the field, and you don't want to offer Manly too many opportunities to score tries because they've got some of the quickest outside backs in the comp. Beautiful little grubber from Brooks off the fair way out too. Just landed it perfectly.
I wouldn't say he had like the greatest game, but that was a perfect kick, and then he nearly he had a couple of midfield bombs that nearly led to tries that were pretty on point too. So
absolutely. Paris seemed to take that a bit personally, up the tempo there after Manly scored, and their physicality was quite good. They're actually hitting and sticking in defence, which you haven't seen a lot out of them this year. And I was pretty impressed for the rest of the first half. They were quite dominant without putting on enough points. Like they probably should have scored another 1 or 2 tries in the rest of that first half. But yeah, their defence was miles ahead of what it has been for a lot of games this year. They were really putting blokes on their backs and hitting and sticking. But the second half just completely, they fell apart. As soon as Manly sort of started coming at them down the edges, they started to panic. Their centres were getting turned inside out in defence. And as soon as that stuff starts to happen, there's just no way back, realistically. You start getting into guys' heads and they're just not reading the play properly. And Tommy switching angles and throwing short balls, and then they got Saab down the edge a couple of times, and that's never good for anyone when you get Saab away on his own down the edge.
But that, on that, DCE started pulling the strings there where he nailed that overlap where he just beautiful.
How good was that dummy and then the cutout?
Yeah, the cutout to hit Saab. Yeah. Who then was good enough to put it back
through
to
the dummy over the top, and someone's jumped for the intercept, and he's taken a couple of steps and hit him on the chest, straight down the edge, and Turbo scores.
Fantastic, and then his support play through Jake there, there's just two. If you're going to do it,
how good was that? Who threw that short ball? I think it was Aloye. The two forwards went into the line, and Jake just blew through the middle of the field.
But if you're going to show two pieces of play that sum up DCE, that's almost it. If you had to go and find two things, it's his supporting play through there and that ball. And that's, without showing all these fucking 40-20s or kicking off the back foot he's had to do for the last 5 years.
Manly really decided to target back in behind the ruck as well. They went out of their way for 10, 15 minutes to really pressure the back of the ruck from Parramatta, and it just tore them to pieces, really wore them out. Guys having to work double time to get back and across, and because there was some big holes in behind those markers, and the markers weren't reading it properly either. And when you got big guys having to move laterally like that to make cover tackles in behind the ruck, it really takes the energy out of the Parramatta forwards. And that was pretty much all she wrote, really. Once the middle got tired, everyone has to compress, and they try to shore up that middle, and it just leaves those bigger holes outside there for Olakau'atu throwing backhanded offloads to Garrick to score, and then again, nice little short pass. They really went to that right-hand side with Olakau'atu. What was that, Harper defending out there? Yeah, Olakau'atu, Saab.
Does that sum up Parramatta better than coming in when it's, 20 to 26 or something like that? Sevo comes in, throws two elbows, gets binned. The neck, not even a tackle goes past, and DC just goes, I'll just pass it out there. Garrick just waltzes over.
And it was about 15 minutes to go when Turbo's gone through and kicked it, and Penasini's dragged him down. So he gets 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, or 20 minutes to
20,
go.
Then it was 2 minutes. So
and then they had
12 blokes.
12. They played with 12 blokes for pretty much the last 20 minutes of this game, and they just got pulled apart at the back end. Manly were probably flattered a little bit just by the way that they were able to sort of pull those edges apart.
I don't think they should have.
At the back end.
They didn't play well enough to win this game by 14 points.
No.
Yeah. And obviously, if I think Gutho kicked none from 4.
None from 4, yeah.
None from 4.
Yeah. So that's 8 points. That's game, a lot different. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sold on Manly at the moment. I think there's potential.
Yep.
But maybe it's it.
They're another one that
they'll tell up some shitty
if you can get in behind their ruck and really turn over those forwards, similar way that you can pull sort of Parramatta apart is really angle in behind those markers and drag the middle defence back in. They do have a couple of issues once the defence compresses and they're a bit short out wide. But
what else do we say about this? Well, Parra, you can't say. I don't know if Parra are going to win another game, to be honest.
They'll win a couple.
The only thing I'll say, and we'll get to it, is a Dags to Pearl. Mm-hmm. Both Darwin teams got beat again.
Yes.
So Lay Dolphins, but Lay tip against teams coming back from Darwin, I reckon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, 2 out of 2 here, and no Dolphins were down on energy when we get there, so. Maybe can forgive that, but I don't know. They don't have now a bye to Origin, do they? Para because they had theirs at the start of very early on. So I don't know where to now. I don't know.
It's a hard one to split these points up.
Yeah, I don't know. I end up actually I'm going 3 DCE because I thought the comeback was on the back of him, but I don't know if that's fair to what the game represented. 2 Gutho and 1 to Garrick or Turbo, but I could be way off the mark in what you're thinking, Barn.
I had 3 for Garrick, goal kicking, 2 tries.
Fair enough, it was a difference.
Did a whole heap of meters as well. I think he was up around 150, 60 meters. Pretty sure he saved a try as well with one of his defensive efforts.
Yeah.
I had DCE for 2, and then I had Hopgood for the 1. I thought Hopgood did so much work again in the middle of the field, 40-odd tackles and
that's fair.
meters.
I don't think Paris scored a point without Gutho was my
That's
thinking.
true. Yeah. Okay, give it to Gutho.
Given it was the classic Para, he creates both overlaps, blah, blah. We'll go 3 Garrick, 2 Gutho, 1 DCE. How's that?
Okay, 1 DCE. Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Gutho. Well, I had Hopgood for
Gutho
2.
3.
But no, Garrick 3. Gutho 2, DCE 1.
We'll go with that.
Yep.
And we got to Saturday night, 34-10. The Broncos over the Tigers.
Yeah, I was searching for points in that one. There was no massive standouts.
And you know what? Our spoilers, I've got no idea when I get the Newcastle game either, but we'll get back to that.
Yeah, okay.
You might have a firmer one. Stats here, Barn. This was
2 tries to the Tigers, 6 to the Broncos. 1 out of 2 conversions, played 5 out of 6. 16-0 at halftime to the Broncos. 72% completion, played 68%. 3 line breaks to 6, 17 offloads to 6. 1 forced dropout for the Tigers. 304 tackles, played 324. 13 errors from both teams. 4 penalties conceded to 8. 1 ruck infringement and 1 inside the 10 against both teams. A sin bin for the Tigers. Poor Fanny. Adam Reynolds with 86 Supercoach points. Staines with 77. Haas with 76.
Yeah, it was certainly a game. It was one of the best teams in the comp against one of the not best teams in the comp. But
Tigers were good for the first half.
I would almost say go as far as they owned the first half. They did everything right but score points. And their forwards were great. And it's just the same old tune I've said for 2 years. Their forwards did everything they had to do. Went through the motions. They just don't have the attack. I think Galvin took more of a front runner in the second half.
Yes.
But actually, it needs to be said, I don't think Aiden Caesar's had a good month at all. I think almost the game's caught up with him.
Since Galvin came in, realistically.
Well, he started the season great, but I think that the NRL's now, you have your warm-up rounds and now the game's caught up in a little bit. But I just don't think his decision... His defence, I got no knock on, but his kicking wasn't good. There was some interesting end of tackle stuff.
You got to remember, older bodies now played 2 months. This is when the good teams really do start getting rolling.
That's what I'm saying. Now it's... And we're coming off Penrith and Brisbane, so we didn't do... or what do we want them to do. But they did strip... Early on, they stripped Brisbane a few times, and old mate Slow-Mo Staines on the wing ended up with 2 tries, funny enough.
77 Supercoach points.
But he plotted out there. Tito would have finished at least one of them, I think.
You would think so, yeah.
Given what the space they created. But I just think from what they had, they should have come away with points in that first half. And it's similar to Penrith. Every time Brisbane went down there, they came away with points. Mm-hmm. And a few times they didn't go down and they came away with points. Like, just the Welsh Welsh try on half time off the kick and stuff like that. Just broken field stuff. It's it's not acceptable. It's not an excuse. It's just good teams come up with it and good teams shut it down and
bounce of the ball and a couple of good decisions and it swings right around the other way. But they're pretty strong, competitive. As I said, that try that you just mentioned probably broke the Tigers right on half time there because they were right in it. It was 10-0. 10-0 with...
Should have been 10-6.
10 seconds to go.
Well, if Appy's try gets awarded, it's 10-6, and there's a few other moments that could have gone the other way. But
10-6. 10 seconds to go, and there's a short kick over the top that just bounces back perfectly, and they give it to Walsh. Someone could have probably got hands on him, but I don't think anyone touched him.
No.
stepping around everyone left, right, and centre as is his want and as is his will. He's he's good. Some good footwork and pace, that bloke.
I watch, because when I do my notes, I go back and watch the little 5-minute package just to refresh me a little bit. Sometimes it's 15-1. And so I was watching it just going, how can I stay angry at you, Reece? He's just so phenomenal.
Just moves so well.
Yeah.
And, that acceleration and footwork is very hard to stop. As you mentioned, I thought the Tigers were quite good early. Got some nice early shifts on, as they did against Penrith the week before, and really pressured the outside edges of the Broncos, but they were good enough to scramble. They got that bit of extra pace out there that was able to shut down, Mariner turning around and grabbing somebody, and the inside guys moving across to make some good tackles and stop some of that came down there. But Brisbane really amped up their physical work, I thought, coming into the second half. You really had that 1-2 punch going through the middle of the field. Then you had the likes of Hetherington and Jensen, who were really putting their shoulder to the wheel, smacking blokes, and just causing problems in the middle there for the. And
sort of, it is the other missing piece apart from outside backs. Is just a real, like a 25-year-old David Clemmer is different to
100%.
This Clemmer. Just someone that's going to get in and say, "Fuck you, let's go."
Just flatten blokes and run over the top of them.
And he tried really hard. Clem was great in this game actually, but yeah.
And
sorry. Go.
No, it's the same thing again. When you really double down on that physical work, the defence has no other option but to compress in the middle of the field, and then you start getting picked apart.
Yeah, and when you don't have fantastic out wide defence in the first place, it's issues.
And you're up against some elite pace from some of those blokes that are out there. Adam Reynolds kicked him around the field quite well.
It's fantastic.
On one leg again at the back end of the game.
Go on. You can mention the intercept if you want.
the diving slips catch when he was standing still.
Oh, that's prime Dagster off the old Barney back in the day.
He had no other option but to try for that intercept.
Yeah.
And as he was falling, he managed to get a little bit of a spring out of it and snag that ball, which could have been, again, another turning point.
Yeah.
Not that the Tigers go on to win, but it could have been a difference in the scoreline, obviously. Managed to get a couple of tries, to stop it from, looking like an absolute flogging. But, it was a pretty comprehensive win.
Yeah, it wasn't it? Like, when you are a bottom 14, you had everything go your way, and when things don't, it just compounds.
The one good thing was they were still fighting. Even with,
and they did against Penrith too. I think the last two try, like the Payne House try, similar to the Fish Harris try, basically carbon copy.
Yeah.
Just everyone's fucked in the middle and
massive lunatic
and
just running flat out.
Old mate running at you. It's not ideal. Patrick Harrigan, we'll just mention him because he's great. I just mention his name again. He did the same usual work.
Had a 20-minute rest as well, and still fucking top the stat sheets.
Payne House on his return hadn't missed a beat.
No. And as you mentioned, with that try, it was just, you could see him going, he was pointing to people too. He's like, I want this, it's mine.
Yeah. And Caesar did nothing wrong except have to tackle Payne. Yeah. Held on the whole way. But the only other bloke I'm a little bit leaning towards, I wouldn't mind seeing Fainu and Galvin just have a game together at some point.
Yeah.
Didn't mind Alamalo on debut. I think he was good.
I thought he was quite good.
A lot of the work that
solid
was missed.
Unit,
But we don't
older fella, but obviously he knows his positional play. He was in the right position more often than not.
I feel like he ran a lot of metres. Actually, don't know if he did.
Pretty physical.
He led 130 odd metres, and Naden was decent enough in his return too. I did enjoy
a little bit of acceleration.
That last try was the classic last try wins in the after recess there when the bell goes and they fuck around for 2 minutes. And I know Faina got binned, but I really like him. I liked him at Manly.
Great player.
He has a lot of. I was trying to work out who it is, and it's Olakau'atu. He's got a lot of Olakau'atu about him and he might be 18 months away from that.
Yeah, work on that offload a little more.
And now they're going to back him on an edge. I'm happy with that.
Got the size and strength, but poor bloke looks up and there's charging out from the back of the field, and he just goes, "I've got to tackle him." He makes a tackle. Mate, it's a 20-metre restart.
Yeah, I felt sorry for him. Even he was like, Even Abby said I think the conversation was he didn't mean to, and the ref said, "I know, but I got to send him." Whatever.
He just looked up, and the bloke was running away, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I've got to tackle him."
Yeah. I don't. I feel like I haven't done justice to Brisbane, but what are we really supposed to say? They just did what they had to do, as a very good team does.
Staines did a fair bit of work, actually, for Staines, which is unusual. Got a double, so you'd have to say he was okay. Alamalo, as you said, had a decent debut. I thought Clem and Stefano were very good, as was Papa Lee. He's had one of his better games, but it was Bateman and Galvin that were your best two players.
I didn't mention it. Bateman's had a great, a low-key, very, very good season. He was great. He was great last week. Like, he's up for the fight.
Been brilliant the last 2 weeks. He's always...
He's worth 6 points.
He loves a fight. That's the only reason he's there, is for a fight.
Of course.
If he could throw him, he would. But he's always up for the contest, Bateman. Absolutely loves the competition. I thought Staggs and Arthurs were strong. They caused some problems out in the outside edges. Piacora had a good return. He was strong on an edge. Ricky was very good as well. You got to throw in Willison and Hetherington, who did plenty of work in the middle of the field. Haas and Carrigan were awesome in the middle. They were the difference, realistically. Yep. They controlled the middle of the field.
I know it's easy to say because it's Haas and Carrigan, and they're
they
two
do it
best
every
forwards
week.
in the game, and every week. But you look at what Brisbane have done with this forward pack. They'll happy to let Flegler go. They'll happy to let a few others go because they knew they had the it almost should have been the template for Parramatta. Like, let's back one and then find some around them. And maybe it's not fair because they're going to go down as two of the greatest players of all time, Payne Haas and Patrick Carrigan.
Absolutely.
So maybe it's not fair, but it's like that. The variation in it, you've gone and found some massive human beings on one edge. You've gone and found Corey Jensen, who's a smaller middle forward but works his ass off.
Some footwork and
then Fletcher
offloads.
and Hetherington all have offloads. They hit people. It's all different. And I'm not saying it's easy to just say, "Oh, go and do what Brisbane do," because if everyone do what Penrith do, it's a different story. But
absolutely,
they back their pillars and they're happy to then go with the younger guys again, and maybe it helps having juniors. I don't know, maybe, but that's an interesting comparison to where Parramatta are at, given they've got a 30-year-old forward pack that now is just all big bodies in the middle.
Reynolds controlled the game very well, and Walsh was all attacking things that were good. Reece Walsh once again
should be the Australian fullback. Will be the Queensland fullback. A freak of a player, half a sniffy burns you. What more can I say? I'm going to give him 3 points.
Absolutely.
And you have Reynolds 2, and Payne Haas 2, in fact, and Reynolds 1 was what I was thinking, unless you want to give an honorary point to someone else.
I had Reynolds and Haas, and then I had Bateman as a notable mention, because I thought it was
Bateman
brilliant.
Noticeable mention's fair. No, what didn't go? Reynolds 2, Haas 1?
Give Haas 2 because he finished with 2 legs.
Okay, we'll go with that. And then we got to the main event. You're right, you need a wee walk.
No.
Okay, Penrith 26, Cowboys 20. In certainly a game.
What even happened in this match?
I don't know what the last half hour of this game was, but it did happen.
It was entertaining. Fucking entertaining.
It was entertaining.
I thought Penrith were going to get done, to be honest.
Stats, though. Well, they just... they held on.
4 tries apiece, 2 out of 4 conversions for the Cowboys, 4 out of 4 for Penrith, and 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for Penrith. 18-4 at halftime to the Penrith side, 84% completion for the Cowboys, 78% for the Panthers, 146 plus post-contact metres for the Cowboys. I think a lot of those was Tamalolo, who had an absolute ball terror of a game. 6 line breaks to 4, 47 tackle busts played 41, 15 offloads for the Cowboys, 3 for Penrith. 3 forced dropouts to 1, 303 tackles played, 370. 10 errors to 13, 4 penalties conceded to 6, 3 ruck infringements to 4, 1 inside the 10 to 2. Nanai with 104 Supercoach points, Brian To'o with 98, Edwards with 95.
Out of the wheelchair, Tamalolo.
Yeah, he was running as hard as I've seen him run for a long time. He was bumping blokes off, pushing them around. It was good to see. That's what I mentioned it last week. I said, well, I mentioned him as one of the poorer performers. I think I might have even given him the pot plant, or it was definitely a slap, one of the two. And then he comes out, and this is that 30, 40 minutes that they need from him every week. This is, the aggressive ball running through the middle of the field. And I think he got up near 150 metres, heaps of post-contact metres.
Maybe actually just starting off the bench is a better headspace for it. Like, now he is. Maybe it's like, when you're on, go and be you, and we'll take you off as soon as you're fucked.
Yep.
Instead of trying to... Because at the start he was still starting, wasn't he? He was still
starting.
starting.
I think so.
Yeah.
Brian Tahoe's 100th game and 700,000th tackle bust.
Yeah. He was
like
incredible.
Just breaks tackles for fun.
Well, two blokes in this game I thought were the difference. But look, back to the start, the Penrith. It's weird. It felt like it was different. Anyway, I was looking at when the times the points were scored. But difference in these two games, the two blokes out of three blokes at the back. Brian Toto, as you said, 21 tackle bust, 200 and whatever it was, 50 metres. Dylan Edwards, ditto, without the tackle bust. But Paul Alamode, who is someone that turned up. When he was named in the top 30, we were getting messages from Gump 2 years ago.
Yes.
But where he played for the Bulldogs, saying this kid is something. This kid is something. This kid, and he did have that big under 19s Origin game and blah blah. This was him. This was the arrival of a superstar. I think it was.
If he doesn't take that intercept, they probably lose this game right on half time.
Yeah.
Like complete shift, Drinkwater, last minute Hail Mary trying to get the ball out to the edge, and Alamoti just swoops on it and runs 50 metres and scores, and they win by 6 points.
Yep. But you throw on top of that 247 metres, and every run counted. Every run counted. I think he had offloads in
Half of them were into the middle of the pack as well. Yeah,
he just turned around and said, I'm just going to run straight through the middle. What did he do? What else has he done here? 6 tackle busts. Felt like more, but I thought every run he made, you noticed him. And this was I thought this was a breakout game to the point where if they don't bring Tito back, they're going to be fine. Well, they are fine. Tito's going next year, so you throw Bizzer on top of that, and then Edwards' work. It's just that's what set the platform, got him through the first half, and it set up everything else. It set up the Cleary bomb for the spill into Martin, and there's a little bit of luck along the way, and it's where their points came from, really.
Yeah, they didn't really completely unlock the Cowboys' defence, but they did enough to snipe in and around the edges, and obviously intercept and a lucky bounce off a mistake. But the Cowboys' attack was really ineffective in that first half.
Yeah, there was nothing happening.
They did not provide any real... It
felt like it was going to be... It was 18-6, I think, half-time, and it felt like it'd be 32-12 at full-time, or 36-12 full-time, yeah.
They did not provide any real pressure against the Penrith defence. They were getting pretty well gobbled up. There was just a shift to an edge, and Penrith just sat back and defended them quite easily in that first half. The second half came a lot off Val Holmes. They were going there so often. He was getting, either through the line or, at least into it and pushing them backwards, combined with some really good work in the middle with Cotter and Tamalolo. And they really did get on a roll, but I'm not sure I've seen Penrith defend as badly as I did. There was probably a 10 to 15 minute period, probably around the hour mark, where they just did not seem to be communicating properly.
And surprise, Origin is coming. All of a sudden, Nanai grew a leg. Finifanaki, they both had that really damaging 20 minutes where they were just involved. And as you said, Val was popping balls to... he threw the one back to Finifanaki, I think, and scored one for himself. And Nanai just started becoming a fucking bulldozer for a bit there.
Yeah, well, he had a pretty good first half as well. Even though they weren't being productive, he was doing a lot of work, which you haven't seen him do this year. Because I've had him as a super coach owner from pretty much the start of the season, and there's been a lot of games where he's just
Did you sell him?
No, I did not. I kept him for this game. But yeah, there's been a lot of games where he just sort of fluffs around and stands out there and waits for something to come to him, where he was going looking for it in this one.
Yeah, old Billy might have given him a phone call.
Quite possibly. Yeah, I thought it was going to be, as you mentioned, a matter of how far at half-time. 24-4. Cowboys really looking like they couldn't score a try if they had to. I think Ivan might have thrown a few chairs around and probably slapped a few people with some of the defensive efforts here in the second half. As I mentioned earlier, there was some really poor defensive reads and one-on-one efforts for tries that were scored. Nanai, I think, carried 3 or 4 blokes over into score. Finiaki went through untouched. I know it was a decent little pop ball, but there was still 3 blokes that stood there and watched him crash over without putting a hand on him.
We're getting to a stage where the pool's only so deep, and it's like, Liam Henry and Mav Guy, and it's like, I'm sure they're very talented, but you're not what you were once.
And their enthusiasm was pretty low in that point too.
Yeah.
When the Cowboys were coming, there was no... Normally you see them bristle up and get a bit angry and get, really put the effort in, and they just sort of were going through the motions. I don't know whether they thought they had it in control or what, but it got a lot closer than I thought it was ever going to get to. And, they gave away quite a few errors and penalties as well in that sort of 20-minute period. But you got to give it to the Cowboys. They kept coming. Chad had a pretty good game, I thought. Really judicious kicking game and got him into some good positions. Jason Tamalolo, as I mentioned, was very good. Finiaki, Cotter, Robson all did decent work in the middle of the field. And Nanai was fantastic. He was close to the best player on the field. Mm-hmm. Martin and Lindsay Smith were good. They generally do their work pretty well and don't stand out a lot, but they get through a lot of work. Cleary and Yo, especially when they were up and going, were doing all that, the controlling and passing in the middle of the field as well as they always do.
It was very much a blowout game for Cleary and different, there was a big debate this week. Do you captain Cleary? Do you captain Nico in Supercoach and blah, blah, blah? But it was very much, I had no interest in Cleary.
I had the money to buy him, and I didn't even go buy him, to be honest.
Because you get Origin looming. At least, Nico, you half a chance of not being there.
Yeah, and generally, the first game back's not normally a 100-point game. No.
I thought Luo again was good, dangerous at times with that big. Got shut down pretty easy, but he's going fine, Luo.
He's playing a bit more direct. He's not as much of that bounce around. Like, it's still there, but it's not back and forward, back and forward.
He's having quite a good year, to be honest.
He's digging into the line a little bit and taking guys with him. You mentioned all the rest of them. Edwards, Alamote, To'o, brilliant. All three of them were fantastic. I gave To'o 3 points.
Yeah, no doubt.
Again, just all that work, 21 tackle busts, just absolutely killing it out there. I gave Nanai 2.
I hadn't considered him, but you're right. He should
really got up and going, scored a try. Could have had probably 2 or 3. He was really pressuring that edge. And then I had either I gave Alamote the 1, but also
say no more.
Edwards and Tamalolo probably need a mention.
My first blush was going to be Tuo, Alamote, Edwards, 3-2-1. But I agree with you, Nanai probably had his best game in a long time. So let's go with that. Who's the New South Wales fullback? Or do you want to just save this off for one big discussion next week?
I still think they're going to pick
Teddy. Yeah. And that's fine.
And if the Roosters keep rolling the way they do over the next 3 or 4 weeks, if they play anything like they did this weekend, I think he'll become an automatic pick. It's that time, though. It's that transition time where they really should be looking at someone like Edwards.
It might almost... They did it a bit with Gal-ish, but it might almost be the time, hey, we'll give you one more, and then can you...
If I was picking the side, I'd probably pick Tom at fullback.
I don't think I think... He's not been perfect.
No, he hasn't been perfect.
I think if anyone's been perfect, it's Edwards. Mm-hmm. Teddy has enough credit, and he's playing good footy. Tom will get picked at centre, probably.
Yeah, he would.
So,
but I'd probably go out of my way to try and find someone
centers.
like Staggs and
Crichton.
Crichton Staggs.
I wouldn't pick Bradman Best. He's
professional.
Not with us.
Full-time centres.
I think Crichton's there. 5'8's interesting because if you're desperate, you could look at it.
Just helps a bit defensively.
If he's with it, if he's
Tommy doesn't
firing,
make mistakes
Latrell's
under the high
first
ball.
Pick centre, but
he's nowhere near the conversation.
Talk about this. The fact he's come out and said he's thinking of sitting out suggests that he's not going to get picked in the first place. So it's a way of cutting off the whole discussion before it happens, which fair enough.
Defensively, Tommy's as good as anyone at fullback. Quite good under the high ball, and I think he just offers that fraction more X factor in attack, to be honest, than both of those guys at the moment. I know Edwards does heaps of stuff, backing up and always in the right position.
You know what Teddy is, and he's got the credit to be there. You know what Teddy is? He's Minicello, whereas back in the day you'd pick Minicello on the wing.
Yeah, and Brett Stewart or something.
Yeah, and Brett Stewart or he's a bit after Mullins, another fullback around then, and no problems. And that's who Teddy is. Yep. But now you can't pick him on the wing now.
Yep.
Some incredible Supercoach insight happening off air. We might even talk about it on air at some point.
Yeah, we'll do it on Wednesday when we do the preview show.
We'll talk about it in the preview. We'll make a point talking about it.
We'll get team list then too, which is always helpful.
Yeah. But 18-14, Sunday kicked off with the Knights getting a win against the Dolphins. As I said, the Darwin Pearl in play. Another two teams knocked off by Darwin. That said, it was 3 tries apiece, and ANZAC kick straight, they're probably in the conversation. But
which is strange because he's generally one of the better kickers. But
yeah,
3 tries apiece.
He did rush both. Like, he did have to rush both, almost to the point where they should have just forgone that last one.
Yep.
Anyway.
1 out of 3 conversions for the Dolphins, 2 out of 3 for the Knights, 1 out of 1 penalty attempts for Newcastle.
Okay, sorry.
6-10.
Barney backwashes, you see, it's no good.
6-10 at half time. 81% completion for the Dolphins, 88% for Newcastle. 154 plus post-contact metres for Newcastle, 7 line breaks to 4. 38 tackle busts to 46, 13 offloads to 4, 1 forced dropout for both teams, 406 tackles made by the Dolphins, 357 by Newcastle, 15 errors to 8, 3 penalties conceded to 4, 2 ruck infringements against Newcastle, 1 inside the 10 against the Dolphins. Asako with 113 Supercoach points, Trey Fuller with 99, Gagai with 89 and Avarillo with 88. Simplified game plan for Newcastle.
Yeah.
Didn't really try to stretch the edges until they'd been playing direct and through the middle. Much more direct attack. Their attitude and energy was really good for at least the first hour or so. It sort of dropped off a little bit towards the back end, but fatigue will do that to anyone, realistically. And it was enough to bully the Dolphins. I thought the Dolphins got bashed off the ball for the first probably half an hour of this game.
Yep, I agree with that.
Newcastle were really strong in the middle of the field. Some really nice, simple inside-outside passes, especially for the first try there for, is it David?
Armstrong.
Armstrong, yeah, at fullback there.
It was lively.
Chiming in at the back. I thought he was fantastic. His stats read brilliantly. He was taking the ball.
They're interesting cases, both these players, because they're both older. Trey Fuller's the other one. Sorry,
yes.
I was talking about both in terms of, yes, but both, I think, 25, 20, I think
26,
Fuller's
27.
27. After about the same, reserve grade park footy, long time in Queensland Cup, whatever. But coming with a bit of confidence, a bit of knowing their own game, not just throwing the wolves, but both, well, again, Fuller was fantastic, but Armstrong, nearly the 2 stars of the game, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Armstrong was probably a little bit more controlled than Fuller. Fuller was very lively, explosive, causing heaps of problems with footwork and pace. Armstrong was more so very direct, upright, support play. Fantastic out of his back end with kick returns. A lot of tackle busts, a lot of meters, and a try or 2, was it, to boot?
Just 1, I think.
Yeah, the first one of the game, but really good with his support play as well around the middle of the field. And I thought he was probably close to the best on ground as well as Fuller, as you mentioned. Dolphins really didn't help themselves with their attack was really hit and miss in that first half. Like, it was either something really nice and someone would make a good long break down an edge, or it was a poor pass behind someone or in front of someone. And
the forward, Avarillo threw the forward pass, no try. Was that this game?
Yep.
Dreaming. There was 2 or 3 dropped cold, and then the back 20 was a whole different story. No team wanted to actually hold the ball for more than 5 minutes.
They didn't.
But if you were going to go back and watch, and I didn't, but say you watch the 15-minute package, you actually watch and go, how didn't Dolphins just win this game?
They blew 2 or 3 really good attacking opportunities.
Should have scored. Yeah.
100%. Drop balls with open lines, just really poor passes at the wrong time. And because they did create quite a few options, but just come up short, dropping the ball and all the rest of it. They really only came to life at the back end of the game, as you mentioned, that last 15, 20 minutes.
Fuller just decided, if we're going to win here, I better invent something.
It's going to have to do it myself.
And Avarillo too. Avarillo was great. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And Nicarima did some nice stuff and put a couple of nice balls to put people away. And it was that continual shift from one side of the field to the other, and they caught the Knights a bit slow on the edges at the back end of the game. But, it was that Newcastle really set the game up early with a consistent attack through the middle of the field, and they really showed up the forward pack for the Dolphins there, I thought, at the start of this match.
For Newcastle, you mean? So
Newcastle really showed up the Dolphins forward pack. Yeah. I thought they were quite dominant through the middle at the start of the game. One thing that Newcastle did really well as well was line speed.
And that was missing the last 2 weeks.
Exactly, and they really put a lot of pressure on Jeremy Marshall-King and their forwards, like trying to get to them before they get to the advantage line.
Brayley and Marshall-King, they both made, I think, 50-plus tackles. Interesting sort of cat and mouse game there for a lot of it.
Yeah, Brayley had some really nice touches, especially close to the line in that first half, and Jeremy Marshall-King's always a threat, but I thought Newcastle went out of their way to really pressure him, and it took him out of the game a little bit, which obviously was good for their cause. Ended up being a grandstand finish where, as you mentioned, I probably thought the Dolphins should have taken control earlier in the game and probably won this game. But Newcastle have to be applauded for the way that they attacked through the middle and their defensive line speed, which hasn't been there. And that scramble at the back end, like, I know they scored 2 tries at the back end, but they could have scored probably 3 or 4 realistically with some of the breaks that they made and then, cover tackles which shut it down. So
there's a few, Tessie New had a couple of half chances, didn't quite. You think, they actually isolated him well one-on-one and he couldn't quite beat. Gay guy was tremendous defensively. And first half he came out absolutely firing. Was doing a lot of that hard work. They shut down Bostock heaps. Bostock never got in this game
barely
at all.
Touched the ball.
And
when he did, he got belted.
So they came with good. I actually thought it was Josh Kerr coming on that got Dolphins going again. He was great off the bench. He had some really hammered an edge there and got them back into this game.
And young Keeley, he looks like a serious player. Yeah. He's got some really good leg speed. Well, he's always in and around the ball.
But you've got to say, obviously Wayne Bennett has some clue about this game, but they're building the right combinations. Ewan Aitken didn't play that first round. He was brilliant here. It's like he will score a hat trick before the end of this year.
Yeah, more than likely.
But he just hasn't yet. But I think he's still got good, decent Supercoach points and all the rest of it. But was in and about, and he just runs such nice lines. Just hasn't had those. I think he scored one all year, to be honest with you. But he's someone that it'll come.
Nicarima
Max Plath again, very good.
I was about to mention him. Jerry Marshall-King and Nicarima were the sort of the pillars of their attack. They were the guys that were getting them onto the front foot and into the right positions with some nice passing and running. Plath was really strong again. A kid, I think he's a half coming through the grades, and now
5'8". I think
they've made him into a small middle forward. And
someone will tell me if I'm wrong, and please do. I think him and Pezzett were in that same...
Hooker, 5'8".
Yeah, he was in that same sort of mould. Yeah. But we had mentioned Pezzett's out for season, ACL. Which isn't fantastic for Origin for Tyrone Wishart's going to have to be doing a bit of work there with Jerome. But anyway.
Jerome will keep him on one leg.
They'll be fine. And Fa'alongo just came back and scored a try and set up another one for North. So they'll be right.
But little bowling ball with heaps of leg speed and plenty of determination, going really good. Aitken, Asako and Fuller were fantastic. They were the best 3 for the Dolphins. Leo Thompson again good in the middle of the field. Best was okay without being great. Hastings had some good touches. Brayley and Gamble were probably the better 2 halves for creating opportunities for the guys out a bit wider.
Just to cut you off there because you mentioned the halves. This is their best combination, isn't it? Hastings Gamble. Isn't Cogger now exposed and as a reserve grader?
I honestly thought it was Cogger and Hastings, to be honest, but.
He had a good game, Gamble.
You're going to play that. Yeah, no, he does. He does that.
He
does have a very strong game here and there, but he's still got some. For mine, the creativity out of him is
don't understand how you make a call on Hastings and then chop and change all 3 combinations in a space of 4 weeks. I just feel like...
And then do it again.
Well,
for Cogger and Gamble. I wouldn't mind seeing Gamble go to 13 now with Saifidi out. Yeah, it probably provides a few more
be Connor Watson
passing, attacking options.
Because he's still he's good defensively. He's sniffs around for a try.
But creativity with his passing game's not brilliant. I think Cogger might have an edge there, but who knows? Not overly worried about telling Newcastle how to do.
No, that's right. I'm sure you won't lose any sleep over this day. It's fine.
Elliott had a fantastic game, as did Gay Guy and Armstrong. I thought they were awesome. So I gave Armstrong the 3 just because he was on the winning side of the team. I think he made up near 200 metres on a debut with a try, and provided some nice passing to get a few guys away as well. Asako has to be the 2 for the Dolphins. He scored the 2 tries at the back end. If only he had his boots on, his kicking boots on, and it could have been a different game. And then I had either Gagai or Fuller for the 1. Or you could throw in Elliott as well as who did the deeper work.
I don't want to leave Gagai out, but Fuller
probably had a bit more impact on the game, didn't he?
End of the day, nearly dragged them home. You got to give him something. Go. We'll go Armstrong. Go Armstrong, Fuller,
Asako.
Let's go with that.
Cool.
And let's finish off 40-0. Cronulla over Canberra in Ricky's 500th game. They decided they wouldn't even, not fire a shot. They forgot the ammo and it was all downhill from the Viking club, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it did well for about 7 minutes.
They actually looked pretty good there, but then obviously the tablets didn't work and to get rid of that clap. Canberra were fucking slow, uninspired. Tired. I don't say tired's fair, but what does stats say first?
They were tired by the end of the game.
They were tired by the end of the game.
No tries to 7. 6 out of 7 conversions for the Sharks. It was 18-0 at halftime. 75% completion for Canberra, 85% for Cronulla. 409-plus running metres for the Sharks. 2 line breaks to 9. 23 tackle busts to 60. 60 missed tackles from Canberra. 7 offloads to 14. 1 forced dropout for the Canberra side. 1 40-20 for the Cronulla side. 333 tackles played, 350. 11 errors to 8. 2 inside the 10 to 1. 2 penalties conceded to 7. Hines with 160 Supercoach points. Ramian with 115. Katoa with 101. Then you had 7 other Sharks players before you got to Jason Tarpanay. You got to Tarpanay on 53.
At least I got the joy of captaining Nico this week. It's something I haven't experienced off in life.
So there was 10 players in the Sharks before you got to a Canberra player.
Where do we start? Okay, I know you have your little... But is there
no real rant.
Not a rant, but is there anyone to even talk about from Canberra? Because they were pretty tepid.
Tarpanay, maybe.
He still managed it. Even by his own admission, he played like shit.
Tomoko tried really hard.
Tomoko tried hard. Tarpanay tried hard. They both dropped the ball
Didn't really
6
have
or 7
the
times.
stats. Yeah, missed quite a few tackles too, I believe, Tomoko.
Yeah. Well, Tarpanay actually did a bit of good stuff and he would drop the ball as well. He didn't have a great day. Hudson Young tried hard enough. I think...
Hudson Young always tries hard.
Their halves... Yeah, did you get reported again? He did some shit in there as well. Been a mongrel. Strange and Weeks were our concerns.
Weeks were okay. Weeks was probably the better of the 2.
Yeah.
Defensively, he was really good, actually.
But their kicking wasn't really there. Their creativity wasn't really... They, like I said, first 7 minutes, and even early to second half, they had chances to...
Yeah, they created probably 3 or 4...
to score, but there was
live chances.
There was nothing, really.
2 of them they bombed. 2 of them got shut down from cover defence.
Yeah. Go on. Have your say here.
Yeah, as I said, first 7, maybe 10 minutes was competitive, tough in the middle of the field, but just one team that continued to ramp up the pace. Especially that was the big thing for mine. There was the line speed. Both sides of the ball, Sharks running so much harder than the Raiders, and their defensive line speed. They were up in the Raiders' face for the entirety of the game. Really controlled the middle of the field and went out of their way to play tough and hard through that middle for the first 20 minutes. And by half an hour into this game, there was half this Raiders team was running around with their arse hanging out. They were busted. It
felt like a statement game from Cronulla. Whether it was in reaction to criticism or not, whatever it was, they haven't played anyone, They went out of the way here to show they're better than Canberra.
We're going to completely grind this team.
It was like it was chalk and cheese. And I know we've already reviewed 2 60-point games, but this, in a lot of ways, to me, was more dominant.
Mm-hmm. Took them on the way that they want. Like if Canberra wanted to play a way of football, that first half an hour is the way that Canberra wanted to play.
And they just said, well, you're not with us. You mentioned line speed, but it was more their intensity in the attack. It was like their back 5 just said, we're going to go here and we're going to smash you out of this, and then how are you going to stop us?
Yeah, completely. The back 5 are running really hard through the middle of the field. Then you throw your Wellies, your Rudolphs, your Oregon Kafusi had a fantastic game. Tom Hazelton through the middle of the field, and they were just bouncing blokes all around the place in the middle.
Yeah, they've really found what they needed in Tom Hazelton.
Oh, mate,
he's fantastic.
He is now their best front rower.
Absolutely.
In this team.
But what I'm sure he's giving you a little tingle is he's going to be partnered with Fanua Blake next year. So
absolutely,
that is exciting for anyone, really.
Yeah, and they got faster and faster in their attack. Brayley really got out, started probing around there. The first 20 minutes they were a bit sloppy with their attack. There was balls hitting the ground.
They went to Teague for that first 20, and he actually created several chances. He dropped an offload, dropped a couple, but he looked dangerous.
Yeah, but there was a few passes from the halves that were hitting the ground, rolling in behind people.
I will say
they were a bit sloppy there for that first 20.
Atkinson covered himself in glory.
His running game was okay, but yeah,
he's fine. But it was the Nico. It was a Nico show.
Playing both sides of the field again. Yeah. But they didn't. The ball hitting the ground didn't break down the play either. They still managed to be able to pick it up, control it, and go back through the middle of the field. And then you got
which says something about Canberra's line speed. Let's be honest.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there's nobody there to dive on that ball and shut it down. And then you had two of probably the informed forwards in the comp crash over for the first two tries. You have McGuinness with the first one, who's been fantastic for the entirety of the year, and then Hazelton, who's growing into a fantastic front rower, again with a little bit of footwork underneath the post there. Yeah. He's got a decent step on him for a big bloke. But their attack got better and better as the game went on. They really started to pressure the outside edges of the Canberra defence once the middle had fallen apart, and but it was an absolute procession by the end of it. As you mentioned, the Raiders created a couple of opportunities down Savage's edge. I think he dropped it once with a pretty good run, and then there was another one where he got shut down and bundled into touch. But it
was Jesse Ramian's best game all year.
Yes, absolutely.
He was fantastic. The footwork. Did he score? He
ended up scoring.
I think his first try all year.
Ended up
close to it.
The second one, I think. Yeah, but he ended up pushing over the top of a couple of blokes. And
he was good. But they were very right-centric, weren't they? They didn't, Mulatalo didn't have a lot to do in this game.
No, they didn't go to the left.
It was all Ramey and Katoa. Obviously, I guess because Nick.
You got Atkinson out there as well, which probably didn't help.
Yeah, because Nico was the one running the show. Iro.
He did put a nice little grubber in when Mulatalo got belted around the neck and thrown over the sideline there, where he could have possibly scored. Sheila managed to grab hold of him, but the back five all ran over 150 metres again. I think there was a couple of 200s in there. Iro was one of them. He was massive. He was as good as Tomoko, at his best. Very good defensive centre as well. Seems like he's he's a much better option in defence than Talakai, I can tell you that.
Well, he's here to stay, isn't he?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah, and obviously can't knock anyone really. It's it's good. They needed a statement game, and it was a statement game. They've got who's it this week?
Dragons. Then
they got Penrith, Brisbane in quick succession.
Storm, Roosters, Penrith.
Storm and Penrith during Origin.
Storm, Roosters, Penrith. Yeah.
So it's a bit of a statement game. They need it, and I thought they were very impressive. I thought Melbourne were the best team I saw all weekend, and then Roosters, and then you can argue, but I think it's if you're going to start jobbing people, you start putting scores on people. It's a different story, and that's what they did. Good team, good football team, well coached, high intensity. They keep going. They're going to be very hard to beat.
Aggressive, and their forward packs turned out a bit stronger than expected. So.
Go and say the line.
Let's get through a couple of others first, and then we'll get there.
Go
on. Of the Raiders, did I have any mentions? You
talked about them.
By the end of the game, Canberra could barely get out of a jog. I thought Schiller and Tomoko were okay. Weeks was good defensively, and Tapane and Young were the only other two that were worth mentioning. Back five did heaps again. That's what they do from this team. Brayley, Wilton, Iro were very good. Kafusi, Nikora, Hazelton, all very good. But, it was McGuinness, Ramian and Nico for mine. I had Nico with the 3, Ramian with the 2, and, either Katoa or McGuinness for the 1.
I was going to go,
Throw in Brayley and Hazelton for...
Brayley was fantastic too, actually. Did I just touch on him for a sec? Do you pay him his due respects when I don't give him points? No, but his service
he just doesn't run as... I'd really like to see him... Like, I think he had 4 or 5 runs in this game. I'd really like to see that turn into 8 or 10. Yep. And just because when he does run, he provides a really good option for dragging blokes along with him.
Yeah.
Hazelton probably deserved the point as well. Was brilliant in the middle of the field. He only plays 40 minutes, so that it makes it a bit hard for him to be the absolute star of the game. But in that 40 minutes, he was brilliant. McGuinness, again, I think he made up near 40, 50 tackles and scored a try.
And did have an all-time post-game interview. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Fletcher's, how many stitches have you had in your lifetime? I don't know, but I've had 5 today, and I think I need a few more.
Yeah, sorry, boys. I usually look better than this. Yeah, hard not to like him.
Yeah, so, only contention was Katoa and McGuinness for the one for mine. But
yeah, I gave him McGuinness. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, go McGuinness. Go on. Give him, because Katoa was very... Because apart from his 2 tries, he's very good. So
yeah, another one running 150-odd metres, tackle busts everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic.
No, fantastic. All right, what have we got... Well, out of this, we've seen some gap jobs this week. Is there a team you want... I've said my piece. Is there a team you think that's them or... Right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Storm the top of the pops for mine. You know Penrith are going to come back and put in a better performance than that going forward. So
I still think that,
still
as
up
we
there,
said,
but
there's more cracks in Penrith than we've seen.
Yep. If the Roosters play like that every week, good luck beating them. Like
they only have to put a month like that together and it's all over. Well, 4 months, but we'll be talking about it if they keep doing that. And I think they've jerried. I think Direct and Walker in control is the key. That Melbourne spine's phenomenal. And yeah,
and the Sharks have now firmed into probably where they belong, about 4th or 5th on the line of betting. I've been putting money on them every week since the start of the season because I thought they were overs. They started at 28s and they've worked their way into about $13 now, which is what I think is about par. So might just hold off for a few weeks and maybe if we get a loss or two, I might throw a few more dollars on. But yeah, anything outside,
I would still.
I think they're shorter than 15.
But all those futures
over 10s, I think.
All those futures are stupid. They're stupid. If I could take $26 Cronulla to win the comp, I'd take it. But for me to lock my money up for 4 months,
basically, if I've had a win on the punt, I've thrown $5 on them.
That's
at 28, and then I'll throw $5 on them.
It's going to pay. If I do win a comp, it pays for the party.
A couple of $100 at the end of the year if it comes.
I do like the and it's something I might even think about. Old Matt Chester, old fella, he used to, or a young fella that used to drink. He used to put every bonus bet he ever got on a Melbourne Cup futures market.
Mm-hmm.
And then
cover half the field.
By the time he got to Melbourne Cup, he had everyone running for him for thousands.
Yeah, right.
And it's maybe not a bad play to play around with.
If they last that long. A lot of them these days only give you a week to spend it. So
well, I don't know if you place a bet, if it still counts. Maybe they cut that out. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
but if you're going to do that, I would be dumping into Para. I'd be dumping into Melbourne, maybe Melbourne Roosters, maybe Sharks, maybe definitely Brisbane. So they're to me they're 3. I'm a little bit come around to. I don't know if Penrith can do it, and I think Melbourne are, for me, the way to go. But we change this every week, don't we?
Absolutely.
Every week. Have you got a pot plant?
I do. Paul Kemp. Someone tried to plant him.
They did try to plant him.
But no, mine was Kyle Flanagan. 8 runs in 80 minutes, or 9 runs for 30 metres. 0 kicks. You need to be taking some pressure off Ben Hunt here.
Yeah.
And 15 tackles, 7 missed tackles. I thought he had pretty much had a shocker in this one.
I'm the same. I've laid off him a little. Well, bloke in his first year, I'm going to go Ethan Strange, missed more than nearly half his tackles, 6 errors, and offered not a lot in attack. I don't know. There's a team getting steamrolled, so perhaps not entirely fair. We'll throw Tyrell Sloan in for a bit of a bonus there. But you could throw all of those teams that played there. Slap-wise, I'm going to slap Tane Milne.
I'm with you.
That's a dog act. It's all I can say.
Absolute dog act. Disrespect, mate. I can understand people getting the shits and whatever, but it's a bloke who cracks the shits at the pub and starts king hitting people. What the fuck are you doing, mate?
Like
Go
the
and
bloke
sort
who
your
just popped
shit out.
Yeah,
Like, seriously. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually am shocked at. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
Salute. What do you got?
Sam Walker. That was his career-defining standout moment for mine so far. Best performance I think I've seen out of him to date, apart from, he's had a couple of games here and there where he's scored doubles and whatever. But as the way to getting the team around the field and just setting up opportunities for blokes left, right and centre, Sam Walker was brilliant.
I'm going to salute Brian To'o because 100th game, fantastic, 21 tackle busts, Origin player. To get there, what he's done,
200+ metres again,
200 odd metres, and was absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to salute him. And on the back of that, the Panthers social media team did an incredible job with his packages around that. Showed his, and I think it's Blocky and Co. I assume it's still Blocky and Co.
I believe so. Yeah, I saw him out at Alexander's the other night. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
good man.
He must still be a part of it because he was at a table with all the Panthers people. So,
but the fact they presented that well, did a great package from him on their YouTube channel, Pen Fans YouTube channel, about his highlights to date, and everyone bagging him and stuff. It was very good. But there's been the best I've seen it doing that, just owning the social media space.
Yes, very good.
So well done to them. On top of, but don't take away from Brian To'o, good player. He'll be, I assume, picked for New South Wales this year. And, of course, you won't let anyone down, so that's that.
Absolute gun.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Leave us some feedback below on YouTube. Leave us some feedback on social media, Threads, Insta, and Facebook. And we'll talk to everyone either Tuesday or Wednesday night. And we're going to preview the week that's ahead in Rugby League again. Talk to you all soon.
Been a pleasure.